Welcome back to a special Talking with Teammates with Fax The King. I got my old Virginia teammate, Michael Strauss here, who ended up transferring from Virginia before he got his career started and went up the road to Richmond. He became a Spider. Mike, when he left Richmond, he left the school with the record holder in completions, attempts, yards, and TDs for a season. Single game school record in attempts, completion, yards, and touchdown. Career passing 698 for 1065 with about a 66% completion rate, 20 interceptions, almost 8,000 yards, 57 TDs, and about 250 yards a game. My guy, Mike Strauss. I appreciate you coming on, bro. How you been?
Appreciate it for having me, man. That was a little trip down memory lane. I haven't heard those numbers in a while.
It makes you feel good, right?
Yeah, man. It's like a different lifetime. It's nice.
Oh yeah, like what's the one thing you miss about Richmond?
I think I just miss the guys. You know, everybody says I think everyone feels the same who play. You kind of miss the boys, like every day. You know, you're coming in and you know these guys are going to be there, and you go in war with these guys, or work out. You know, go eat. Kind of miss that part the most if there was one thing.
I think all ex-players, that's like probably the biggest thing that you miss. Like once you leave it, I think sometimes you take for granted what you have, and then when it's like over, you're like, dang, I used to really enjoy that. Like, hey, getting ready in the locker room before practice, talking shit after practice, like being dog tired, and those are the things that you definitely.
And everybody who's older always tells you, hey, don't take it for granted. And you just kind of you say okay, and it doesn't really sink in till after.
Now into the real world, you got your big boy pants on. You grew up in Miami, you moved back to Miami, and you're living the dream, working in a company owned by your family, and you get to work with your dad. But how has it been living and being back in Miami, like just after school and college?
Well, everyone who went to school with me knows how much I loved it back home. I would always come home every chance I got. Miami's like a different breed. It's the best. I think it's the best place in the world to live. You kind of have everything here, and you know, I grew up, you know, in a fortunate situation, and you know, I you know, always knew I would come work for my dad and work with my family, and you know, it was always kind of the writing was on the wall, and you know, that's why I never really rushed back. But I've always loved Miami, and this is my home. I got my roots here.
Well, I'm a Florida boy too, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm over here in Tampa, so
yeah, I graduated early from high school, and you know, my first semester I was staying at Haverford in the worst dormitories in UVA, and it was snowing, and I just remember calling my mom crying, just like, hey, I want to come home, you know. I'd never, you know, first time out of the house, so it took a little adjusting, but you know, grew up quick.
You know, you say you're from Miami. On the pod, you know, I think last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, we were talking about Miami football, talking about the end of the Hurricanes game. I don't know if you're a Hurricanes fan, if you're familiar with Mario Cristobal, but we were talking about that play and the way that ended for a long time. I was just wondering what your thoughts are as a local Miami guy.
You know, I went to the Hurricanes National Championship in 2000, 2001,
Oh, wow.
2001, 2002. I saw the best of the best. Sean Taylor went to my high school.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, I saw him play in high school. So I like bled UM football till I went to Virginia. And when they didn't show me love, too much love come out of high school, it kind of, at that point, you're a player and you kind of lose your fandom for that school. But, you know, in my recruiting process, you know, FIU offered me a scholarship at Florida International, and Mario Cristobal was the coach. And funny story about him is, you know, like I said earlier, I come from a fortunate background, and a school like FIU, he's touring me around campus, and obviously they wanted me to come there. And after they offered me a scholarship, he had a conversation with my dad, and he said, do you guys really need the scholarship? Do you want to give the scholarship to somebody else? That didn't really rub us the right way.
Yeah.
My dad likes to tell that story. Who is he to say something like that? But
yeah, you offer a kid a scholarship and then take it back right away.
At this point, I had about 8 or 9 other scholarships, so it wasn't like it was my only one or anything like that.
How fast did your dad call you after that play happened? Then
he couldn't believe it. He said, "Michael, can you believe what this guy just said to me?" he couldn't believe it, because my dad had to work.
When that play happened two
Oh,
weeks ago, how
oh
fast did
my
he call
God.
you? How
No,
fast
yeah,
did he
yeah,
call
yeah, yeah.
you?
We spoke right after. No, it was sad, man, because all my friends here are still diehard Miami fans, and I still cheer for the school because if it says Miami on the shirt, I root for them. Like Inter Miami is a new thing. I'm a Inter Miami fan, so I want them to succeed. And I like Mario Cristobal. He's a good guy. Like I liked him. You know what I mean? So for him to make that call, I couldn't actually believe that a professional coach could do that.
Seriously. You probably weren't too surprised about his questionable judgment, though,
Right,
based on your personal experiences.
right. It's just unexcusable. I know a lot of people who bleed orange and green, and they kind of they've gone through all the ups and downs, and they were finally coming back, and then you just set the program back, like.
Yeah.
And now they just lost to UNC, right? I mean, they just set. I think that's a huge setback after build. I mean, they win that game. They're in the top 10. It was an inexcusable call. Can't believe you're locked in with that guy for 10 years, but 10-year, $80 million or something crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So some of those guys, they might be venturing in to do what you did, which was a college transfer. You started out at UVA. Was at UVA for a year. We had a coaching change, and you ended up transferring. Talk to me about the transfer portal when you were in school and what that process was like.
So when I was in school, the rule was if you wanted to transfer, if you wanted to go D1 to D1, you had to sit out a full season. If you went from D1 to D1 AA, which they call FCS, like a Richmond school, the subdivision, you don't have to sit out. I gone through 2 seasons at UVA, feeling like I should be on the field, or at least have given a chance. I never even was given a chance to play to really show what I could do on the field during a game. I thought there was plenty of times where, hey, our freshman year weren't very good, or they could have thrown me in there. But we did good my sophomore year. We went to the I think it was the Chick-fil-A Bowl, and at that point I was like, all right, I'm out of here. Just so happens Michael Rocco was a quarterback. His uncle was the coach at Richmond. I would have never in a million years thought I was going to go to Richmond. I want to get the hell out of Virginia. I was talking FAU, FIU. I was going to come back home. I was trying to get around the rules, and there was no guarantee that I wasn't going to, until I enrolled in the school, there was no guarantee that they were going to grant me eligibility that next year. And I was under the feeling like, hey, if I don't play, I'm ready. I'm done. Like, I can't sit out another year. I can't sit out 3 straight years, and it's like I'm doing all this just to watch. But yeah, that played a big factor in me going to Richmond.
If you could do it all over again with the way the transfer rules are now, and it's kind of the wild west, it feels almost like free agency. You have teams that have new coaching staffs, kind of like what you had, and I had that too at Wisconsin, and guys can transfer without that penalty that you mentioned. If you could, if you were in school today, would you go to Richmond, or would you try to go D1 to D1?
I would have definitely went D1 to D1. I had a lot of schools that I was talking to. And you think about it, I had over 10 scholarships. All those schools were still interested,
Right.
It was just like it was like, hey, if you want to do this and sit out a year, we'll take you, So yeah, it would have been a completely different experience. I don't regret anything. I had the best time at Richmond, made some of the best friends, and I had a great time playing. I was able to play against UVA twice and NC State.
Yeah.
I got to do it. So, it would be a lot different though today. It's almost like treating it like a professional sport now. It's like free agency.
So like I was saying, it's kind of the wild west with the transfer portal. You can now transfer team to team without penalty. And, another big thing too that was not an issue at all when Fax and I were in school is like these guys are getting paid, man. And there's these NIL deals, and it feels like every day you're hearing about, different quarterbacks, especially like Shedeur Sanders and guys like that who are kind of cashing in on these monster deals. And it's interesting to talk to you about it because you were a quarterback and now you're working on the business side. So I guess bunch of questions for you related to this is, first of all, like in your opinion, I don't know, like from a business perspective, like is there a lot of value there in giving these high profile athletes these NIL deals? And would you be interested in doing like a shoe deal with a high level quarterback or a high level player?
I've been approached by people locally, a lot of these guys, even high school guys like that are big time recruits too. People like, hey, do you want to do an NIL? And you know what I realized in my time with in the shoe business especially, and and how it translates to marketing and the reach it gets, unless these guys are football players. Like, these guys are known within a circle of people who watch college football, right? College football is an American like sport. It's a sport that there's a certain people that watch. The people, not everyone who watches the NFL likes college football. So there's like that passionate, school spirited people that but it's a large group, but it ain't worldwide soccer. These guys aren't worldwide celebrities, even nationwide.
Yeah, it's not F1 either.
If even somebody like Shedeur Sanders or Caleb Williams walks down the street in Miami, 9 out of 10 people will not know who that guy is, right? I will. You guys will, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of just tells you, I don't. It's kind of like even when you get to professional sports, like if you're not with a celebrity, if you haven't hit celebrity status where everyone kind of knows who you are, the reach isn't going to be there. So a lot of these NIL deals is just a way to get these kids to come to the school. It's just benefiting the school. Who wants to cough up the most money to get these guys to go to school? There's no benefit on the other side. Now, there may be some sort of local benefit. Hey, local businesses want to invest in these guys and have them come to their restaurants or their stores and do autograph signings. Yeah, I'm all for that. But a national brand like a global brand like ours, not there would be no, like, because for example, you got girls from the college basketball from University of Miami. They're now in the WWE. Those girls are celebrities now, right?
Yeah.
We reached out just to see what the prices would be to work with those girls. And
what was it?
What was it?
Yeah,
it's a lot. More than you would think, and more than I would be willing to invest. Because then again, like I'm saying, they're celebrities. They're going to WWE, but again, like they're walking down the street or they go out. They could be two very pretty twins that are hanging out, or if you know who they are, you know who they are. It's not like
I certainly know who they are.
Right, exactly. but not everyone. It's not. They don't have that like A-list celebrity reach.
Right. From a business side, like a marketing and a reach standpoint, it doesn't make a lot of sense for you, but these NIL deals are mostly prompted by wealthy, businessmen, alumni who are using it as a recruiting tool. And that's kind of how it's been so interesting to see the NIL deals evolve and the ways that teams are kind of funneling what was originally under the table recruiting money into fully legalized NIL deals. But it doesn't make as much sense for an independent, international company like yours.
If you can't see it, like what you just said, if you can't see it that way,
it makes sense. It's interesting to talk about it from a business perspective.
Right. And what I like about it is it's actually helped, you had a school like Alabama that's been the number one school for years, right? It's helped kind of like level the playing field a little bit with some of these other schools that are willing to come to the table with some cash.
Well, and what's interesting too is how it works with the transfer portal, which we've obviously talked about your experience with that. Is like if a guy balls out at a smaller school where there isn't the NIL money that's available, you can hop in the portal and go to a larger program, a bigger organization where there's more funds. So. We'll see, man. Maybe you got to come out with a cleat line or something like that and really tap into this NIL market.
And listen, I do men's and women's shoes, but maybe if I had a business that was a little more tailored to what these guys were doing and it was a local business, maybe my answer would be different. But I'm thinking like on a global, national scale. Right. These guys, I know who they are. You guys know who they are. Sports fans know who they are. You got a sports product, right? We're selling cleats. Yeah, it's up for sure. But basic marketing, basic companies out there. I mean, I think it's like you said, it's a different way to funnel money to these kids. But like you said, I think the best part about NIL and the whole transfer portal is a kid can go to a Richmond, ball out, play a couple years, and then go finish his career at a big time school. I think that's like a dream for for kids. That's a dream for all of us, right? So it hurts the Richmonds of the world. It's tough to compete now. Getting recruits and stuff. It's tough even for these lower level D1 schools. I don't know, they're like, because if a guy does well, he's out the next year. He's going to. It's almost like Deion Sanders said. It's like he feels bad for the recruits now because they're just going after transfers, right? So they're black. They're not even hiding it. It is what it is now. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, college football will be like the NFL in the sense where you'll be signing kids to contracts.
Seriously,
because that's the only way you'll get them to stay.
Going back to football, we're excited to talk about some of these quarterbacks on the pod. Just wondering if you got a good quarterback player comp for you, a guy that's maybe playing right now? Don't tell me fucking Penix or Caleb Williams or Bo Nix. Just wondering who you think, you watch on tape on Saturdays and you say, yeah, that looks like a young Mike Strauss. What do we got?
Well, I know you guys, because I watched your podcast. I know you guys have talked to him before, and it's just close to home. But the Calandria guy, I wasn't I wasn't as mobile as him, but the way he just slings it with no regard, like. But the way when I watched him play, I think they lost against JMU. But I watched him; he was just slinging it, like didn't care, and I like that. That's kind of how I was, like. Yeah. You get that alert throw on the backside that you're really not supposed to throw at the deep ball, but you know what? You see that one-on-one, and I'm taking it. It's the same thing with him, and he's willing to thread the needle. You got
to know he's gonna sling the rock. Hey, white boy from St. Petersburg, Florida, yo.
Yeah, exactly. Florida. We're gunslingers down here. You know what I mean? I do like to watch Virginia, and I do like what I see out of that guy, and I do see some of that gunslinger mentality that I had.
For what it's worth, I think Graham Mertz would be a good comparison.
Graham Mertz?
Transfer quarterbacks now in Florida, kind of strikes a similar chord to you. So I got one more question. We do this segment on the podcast called Shit to Talk to Your Girl About. It's kind of my favorite thing. We talk about a lot of different sports on the pod, and so sometimes it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to talk to my girl about? But now we got a guy who's got an international shoe brand. It seems like I was buzzing through your website. It seems like you guys got a lot of fun, fashionable shoes. Wondering what the fall shoe of 2023 is.
To be totally honest with you, it ain't a boot, it ain't a sneaker right now. The hottest thing out right now are cozy slippers.
Okay.
Believe it or not. So I mean, and they're not. And it's the best part about it for us is these slippers. They're not expensive. Like these are like $30 slippers. So you can really make your girl happy right now for a not breaking the bank. The ones with the smiley, you got smiley faces.
Yeah.
She wears them around the house. That stuff's kind of it's so big right now, and the weather's just starting to turn. Boots will pick up and you know what? Girls are also like getting dressed up wearing those tall boots too.
Yeah.
But the slipper category right now, it's kind of having a moment. It's always, with the Uggs and things like that, they're always around. But right now, those kind of fashion slippers, now that I've seen it, said it, you'll start to look and you'll see yourself. We got one called the Cozy.
Cozy season.
Cozy. Shit to talk to your girl about. The Cozy.
The Cozy.
The Cozy.
It's flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
And Mike, I just want to say thank you for the time, and everyone out there, make sure you check out Mia Shoes. I believe it's miashoes.com. Go check out the Cozies for your girl, and make sure you guys check out Fax The King on all social medias. Tune in, like, comment, and subscribe.
Talking with Teammates. Thanks a lot, Mike. It's great talking to you.
Thanks for having me, man. Anytime.